Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD.
All right, welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I am your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host, JD. JD, how are you, man?
All right, I'm doing pretty well. Looking forward to rocking out tonight. Right? Get it?
Yeah, let's rock the rock.
No, I don't think you get it.
No,
It's
and
like,
not The Rock, but the movie The Rock.
just because you want to knock the rock doesn't mean that you can't lock and rock.
Well, that's true. Okay,
All right.
well, yeah.
Now we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. I'm ready to dive in. You guys are listening to the teaser trailer episode, and we're going to discuss the 1996 action film The Rock today. I want to take a second to thank our audience. We just passed 5,000 downloads on the podcast. Feels crazy to even say it because I feel like we've only been doing this for a little while now. But JD, anything you want to add in there and maybe thank the listeners here?
Yeah, obviously a big shout out. The reason why we do what we do is to give you guys quality content, and I hope that's what we're doing. And for us being just two random assholes, to know that 5,000 times you guys have clicked the download button to listen to what we've had to say. I mean, a big shout out and thank you to you guys. And I just encourage you guys to engage with us and tell us what you want, tell us what you like, and tell us what you hate, and we will ride this rock all the way through the next 5,000.
So I also want to thank our sponsor, Bunny17 Media, who helps bring you this podcast completely free. Go over to their site right now, Bunny17 Media. Use promo code BACKINTIME at checkout, and you save yourself 15%. While you're online, go ahead and give us a rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. That is the best way to support the show. And the best thing about it is it's completely free. We don't ask you for anything. I know we're talking about getting some t-shirts going. That'll be a good way to maybe make some money on the side for the podcast. But other than that, everything's free. Everything in life that's free is great, right, JD?
Yeah, I mean, I tell myself that every time I steal something from the store. I'm like, this is free. This is fantastic. Who pays for stuff?
How is that going for you, by the way?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to explain the 5-finger discount when the clerk is chasing after you, and it's like, no way, dude, it's totally cool. I took it. It's mine. Police tend to get a little baton whippy with you, but you pay your fine and you go on your way.
Yeah, no fun getting baton whipped.
No, there's a lot worse things that could be done with a baton to someone.
All right, man, let's jump into some first memories of The Rock. So, JD, when's the first time you remember seeing The Rock?
Oh, man. 1996, huh?
Yep.
I know I didn't see it in theaters. So that means it had to have been a Blockbuster night movie, or I would have seen it on HBO a year or two after it came out. I gotta say, this is a movie that I have not seen in recent memory. It has been many years, and all I really remember are those green globes.
Okay.
I don't remember much about this movie. I don't.
I do remember the Green Globes. I've seen it somewhat recently, like in the last 10 years I've seen the movie once. I'm excited though, because I actually really do like this movie a lot. And I've got some pretty cool, interesting facts that we'll get into here in a little bit. And we'll talk about that probably on the next episode for interesting facts. But no, yeah, this is definitely a blockbuster night with my dad. He was always big on action movies. So This would have been something where he's like, hey, bub, come sit down. We're going to watch this movie. It's got Sean Connery in it. It's going to be really good. 2 hours and 20 minutes later, I have to agree. Yeah, I liked it. Not a movie I ever owned up until recently when I bought it for $3 at a secondhand store.
So the question here that I have to ask is, did you sit on your pappy's lap?
No, I did not sit on my dad's lap when I was 11.
How was my Sean Connery impression, though?
That was pretty spot on, I have to say.
Okay. All right, thank you. I will have to say that I do practice that often alone in the dark. Oftentimes, perhaps laying on the floor or facing a corner, and go into Sean Connery mode. Not to take away anything from you sitting on your pappy's lap, according to Sean Connery, because it's not your dad, it's your pappy.
I can do a lot better Nicolas Cage when he gets into like full Nicolas Cage mode and he starts freaking out. I can't do his like calm voice though. I'll have to work on that, see if I can get something before the episode starts up.
To be fair, I don't even think Nicolas Cage can do a Nicolas Cage calm impression.
Very true. Okay. Well, since this is teaser trailer episode, why don't we fire up the trailer here? So if you're by a computer or you have access to watch it, go on to YouTube. You're going to type in The Rock original trailer. And when that pops up, we're going to be looking for the one titled The Rock, all caps, trailer 1996 in parentheses. And it is by Rye, RYY79, and has 218,000 views on it. I will give you guys a 3, 2, 1 click countdown, and we will watch this thing together. JD, are you rocked and loaded?
Rocked, locked, decocked, pants on, shirt off, hands in the air, ready to scream!
All right. That was weird. 3, 2, 1, click.
Following is a state secret, gentlemen. Disclose it to any party and you will be subject to prosecution. His name is John Mason, British national, incarcerated on Alcatraz in 1962. Escaped in 63. There's no identity in the United States or Great Britain. He does not exist.
Secrets have a way of coming back to haunt you.
There's a hostage situation on Alcatraz. Hostage? 81 tourists. The Rock's a tourist attraction.
The one you train to defend you becomes your greatest threat.
A battery of VX gas rockets is presently deployed to deliver a highly lethal strike on the population of the San Francisco Bay Area.
And the one you abandon becomes your only hope.
You go talk to him.
Me?
Yeah.
Hiya. I'm an agent with the FBI. I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are. At least he got his name right.
Now, all that stands between a city and a disaster.
The power of this chemical is way beyond anything you can imagine. That's why you're coming with us.
Is a man who's never seen combat.
You're a chemical freak. I'm a chemical super freak, actually.
And another who's been out of action for 30 years.
Show us on the blueprints.
I can't. My blueprint was in my head.
Fortunately, some things you never forget.
But don't worry. It'll all come back to me.
From Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, the producers of Top Gun and Crimson Tide, and Michael Bay, the director of Bad Boys.
Welcome to The Rock.
We got visitors.
Sean Connery.
You sure you're ready for this?
I'm doing my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage.
Listen, I'm just a biochemist. I drive a Volvo. Beige one. Just what do you say you cut me some friggin' slack?
Ed Harris.
Fire.
This summer,
Okay, JD, I'm going to let you go first. What do you think of the trailer?
Welcome back to the 90s. We are in full force of everything that is good, great, grand, and wonderful about cinema. Holy moly, does that trailer rock. I gotta say, like, it doesn't give too much of the story away. Like, I'm not sitting here going, okay, I know what the formula for success is gonna be. I mean, we've got some three big heavy hitters right here. Ed Harris looks fantastic. Sean Connery rocking that hairdo and then coming clean cut Connery. And Nicolas Cage just being Nicolas Cage. He's fantastic at being Nicolas Cage. And this is before he was even a walking meme of himself.
The other thing I really love about the trailer, it's the voiceover guy. This summer, it's time to rock. Why can't we have that today? I don't get it. Why is that like a completely dead part of cinema? No answer?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a funny joke. I don't know if I want to go the fart route, if I want to go zombie apocalypse. I don't know. I need to. What I need to do is I need to go through my card catalog of jokes.
I'll circle back around. But I just wrote down two things. It was voiceover guy and Ed Harris. He does that. I feel like he always plays like the perfect villain. He's either the perfect villain, the perfect cop, or the perfect Apollo, NASA head of whatever he did there. I don't even know his role, but he was awesome in Apollo 13 with his little vest.
Ed Harris, I think, is kind of a unique actor in that you're not going to find anybody that hates on Ed Harris. I'm not wrong in saying that, right? I don't think I've ever met anyone that is like, I hate that Ed Harris. He's an asshole. I wish he wasn't an actor anymore. No, you're not going to hear that from anyone. Ed Harris always rocks the role.
Yep, I think he's the perfect complementary to like a big star. Somebody that you recognize that's going to give a good performance every time out. I like that you called Sean Connery clean cut Connery. Is that like his James Bond look?
That's in my head. That's how I'm picturing him. Yeah, clean cut Connery is a young, suave Bond. He looks good.
You know what movie I really like of his that I think is a little underrated, and this might just because I'm a 90s kid, but Finding Forrester. I really like that movie.
I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to dash your, preposterous vision and say I've never seen Finding Forrester.
Really?
And I'm okay with that.
I think you would actually really like it.
It's too late. It's on the records that I don't want to see it.
Okay, we'll see what happens when it's on a poll topic.
Damn it. That would be a good poll topic. We should cobble together 4 movies, 2 between each of us, that we have no interest in seeing whatsoever.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's not fair, because you already got me with Super Mario Brothers. By the way, in our archives, great episode. Check it out.
Okay, that's true, but you came around. You were a believer after watching the film as an adult.
Yes, I think I could turn you on Finding Forrester.
If that was supposed to be your Connery, you did a lot of work, son. I would watch Finding Forrester. I would not put that as my movie that I would avoid at all costs, that the fans would hold a candle to our nards to make us watch. That wouldn't be Finding Forrester for me. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what that would be. Maybe We Are Marshall.
Ooh, that has to be a tough one. Okay, well let's jump into some of the box office numbers here. The Rock debuted at the box office on June 7th, 1996, distributed by Buena Vista, part of Disney, with a runtime of 136 minutes and a production budget of $75 million. That's some serious coin for 96, isn't it?
Yeah, that level of cheddar will buy you a ham sandwich, leave you leftovers for your turkey sub, and then have you some slices for a cracker and cheese platter for the guests. Maybe some sociables, maybe some wheat thins. The point is, a lot of cheddar.
So The Rock opened to 2,392 screens. It debuted number 1 at the box office, bringing in 25 million big ones in week 1. In week 2, they would drop 1 spot to the number 2 and bring in another 18.5 million over the weekend, bringing their 10-day total to 56 million. JD, do you think the schoolyard effect was in play here?
Oh, I know it wasn't. There's no other way. We're talking 96. We're prime smack in the middle of the 90s. You know, we're talking Atlanta Olympics. We're talking Michael Johnson with his golden shoes in that year. Oh, kids were talking. Oh, we were talking.
Real quick, because I don't think we've actually defined this. What do we consider schoolyard effect? How long does it have to stay in like the top 5?
Well, okay, so that's a good distinction to make. And the beauty part of the schoolyard effect is it doesn't necessarily have to sink in right away. But once you're out on the schoolyard, once you're in the playground, you're shooting some hoops, you're playing some Foursquare. Once the murmurs start happening, it picks up steam, you know?
Okay.
I think that for it to be defined as being affected by the schoolyard effect, it needs to not drop off the map. It needs to hold its own and either maintain or grow.
For how long?
5 weeks.
Okay.
Shooting from the hip.
Okay. I'm going to say it does have some schoolyard effect, but not a lot. So they dropped to the number 3 spot the following week, and then it would drop to 5, 6, 8, and then out of the top 10 completely. Really, they had about 6 solid weeks. The film would make $134 million domestically, but they really kicked ass internationally, $201 million international box office, bringing their worldwide total to $335,062,621. JD, thoughts on the box office numbers here?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really too surprised that it performs so well internationally. I think that if there's anything to be said about Michael Bay and the career that he forged for himself, is that what he does and what he's involved with makes international splash. When you look at all of his current movies, like they could be poo-pooed into the poo-poo hole, but they're still gonna make money both domestically and then the international markets. They come to watch. They come to see what exactly Michael Bay is blowing up in America now, and they invite him to come to their countries and blow shit up too. I mean, is that not the dream job?
Yes. For me, yeah, absolutely. Now, knowing that this was like one of his first directed movies, I'm not going to give him the credit. However, I am going to give the credit to Sean Connery, who is an international actor who also was James Bond. So I think we can maybe give him a lot of credit for the success of Michael Bay's career. And maybe that's why he's such a big international draw now, is because Connery put him on the map. Hey, you like them nuts?
I can't put together a rebuttal. You might be right. I think you might be onto something. I think there might be a thesis statement in those words that you tied together into a sentence and then you spoke from your mouth.
Let's get into some top 10 for the week of July 6, 1996. Got some good ones on this list too. So number 1, of course, was The Rock. We've covered that. Number 2 at the box office that week, Mission Impossible. Number 3, Twister, future episode. Number 4, Dragonheart. Number 5, also going to be a future episode because I love this movie, Eddie, Whoopi Goldberg, New York Knicks. Number 6, The Phantom. Number 7, Spy Hard. Number 8, The Arrival. 9, Flipper. And 10, The Truth About Cat and Dogs. Gets a little weak at the end there, but JD, any standouts for you in the top 10?
My goodness, this was an exciting week in film history. The Phantom? Have you ever watched that movie?
I don't know if I've seen The Phantom or not. If I did, it did not leave a lasting impression.
Billy Zane in a tight purple outfit? True story.
Why'd you mention tight?
Well, because Billy Zane is a rippling hunk of a man, and obviously clothes are going to be form-fitting to said body. Like, we're talking about Billy Zane. That's just how he rocks and rolls.
Continue.
So, true story. I, on 3 occasions, tried to watch the movie The Phantom. And on 3 occasions, fell asleep within the first 10 minutes. So, scientifically, I gotta say, The Phantom is physically impossible to watch. I've never met somebody that has not fallen asleep during it.
Okay. Now, you said you tried 3 times?
Yeah, I wanted to watch it.
Challenge you to a 4th. It is on Amazon Prime right now.
Well,
you have my log.
Well, my dear friend, I accept your challenge because at one point I'm going to need to go to sleep tonight. And what better way to go to sleep than to put on the Phantom and be seduced into slumber?
Put him right to bed.
Who needs a nightcap when you can just put on the Phantom?
That's awesome. What about our Twister? Are you as big of a Twister fan as I am?
Okay, so for me, Twister was outside of my, like, it wasn't part of my youth canon of films. Like every kid, you know, especially millennials, 90s kids, Nintendo generation, whatever you want to call us, we all had our pocket of film that were our go-to. Twister wasn't in my wheelhouse. I saw it once when I was younger. I watched it once in college. I watched it once as an adult. It's quotable. It's funny. It's got some memorable moments. I went to Universal Studios when I was younger and actually got to go on the Twister interactive ride that they had, which was really cool.
I love that ride. Yeah,
it was pretty neat. I enjoy it, but it's not one of my defining movies. It's not, you know, conversely, Independence Day would be like a defining movie for me.
Okay. Yeah, I have a weird obsession with tornadoes for some reason. I've never been in one, but my mom is like this, where if a tornado hits, like, we're on the back patio watching it. And I'm like, if you can imagine the scene in Forrest Gump when Lieutenant Dan is just yelling at the storm. Like, that's me in a tornado. Like,
so what you're saying is you lost your legs when you were little and you now have prosthetic hands.
And I made a ton in the shrimping business, yes. That's how I afford all my Jordans.
You son of a bitch. Always bring it full circle to that. You know, I finally had a good story about my childhood.
I know.
The one time we took a family vacation. One family vacation. And you just, oh, that's fantastic. Well, I've got many pairs of Jordans. And you've been to Universal Studios and went on the same ride. So I don't even get to lord that over you.
Yeah, I went like 4 times. Let's talk about critic and audience response for the film. We're going to use Rotten Tomatoes to gauge the response of the audience and the critics here. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. JD, give me your best guess here on what you think the critic response was for The Rock.
Okay, again, I've not yet rewatched this movie. It's been many a year, so I'm going based off of what I know. We know that Michael Bay is not a sullied name when it comes to critics. That's a good thing for him. You know, nowadays when he comes out with a movie, somebody's going to say Michael Bay, and he's automatically going to get 15 points just knocked right off his score.
Okay.
You know, we're looking at Ed Harris, tremendous actor. We're looking at Sean Connery, legend. We're looking at Nicolas Cage. He is an actor.
At that point, very hot.
You know, I was never much attracted to him, but that's an interesting point that you make. I never thought of him as a heartthrob like that.
You went the wrong way again.
Why enter through the front door when you can sneak through the side? Okay, so I want to say, okay, we're looking at 1996. Action movies there's a lot. We're at no shortage of action movies. We've lived through everything that Stallone and Schwarzenegger can throw out. Hulk Hogan has put his hand in the mix for comedy movies. Like, we're looking at oversaturation. And I think that at this point, the critics probably want to pan this movie. But at the same time, there's a lot of uniqueness to be had. We're looking at good actors. We're looking at a story that's essentially going to take contained plot elements, and, you know, we're going to throw everything in The Rock. So we've got a great monumental location, and the stakes are really high. Like, if I recall, they're trying to kill a bunch of people or blow up shit. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people's lives are at stake. It's not, it's not Thanos snapping his fingers, but at the same time, I think Ed Harris is looking to get his elbows bloody. With that said, I want to say that the critics probably were harsh on it, but really admired some of the uniqueness and individuality of the film, especially with the performances given by the actors. So I've got two numbers in my head. I'm going to cut the gap and say 61.
Okay. How about audience response?
So now I'm more worried. I feel like I'm really gonna to sell the goat on this. That's not a phrase, but it's gonna be a T-shirt from here on out. In my experience, The Rock is not Con Air. And when you talk about Nicolas Cage movies and you talk about some of his, more frivolous roles, Con Air usually comes up first. And I feel like audience probably have more of a response to that movie. And therefore, I think that Rotten Tomatoes audience response in favor of The Rock is going to be a little bit lower. Again, I might have this completely wrong. I have not seen this movie in many years. I'm going to give, I want to laugh, so I'm going to say 69.
Okay. You're very close on the critic response. You guessed 61. It's actually 66. Great job on that one. The audience response, though, very surprising. When I looked up this number, I was like, ooh, he's going to have a trouble with this one. It's an 85% certified rotten fresh. Or certified fresh, not rotten.
85%?
Yeah.
See, I had a feeling that I was going to underestimate the fan base, and I did. I'm half tempted to look up what Con Air's rating is. But I don't want to ruin that for a future episode. I don't want there to be any jaded responses. I'm sorry, fans. Tweet your hate at me. Unjust Justin on Twitter. Seriously, just crap in my cereal. I'm sorry, guys.
Let's get to a couple responses from our critics here. Our old buddy, Roger Ebert, gave the film 3.5 out of 4 stars and said a first-rate, slam-bang action thriller with a lot of style and no little humor. JD, any thoughts on Roger Ebert here?
Well, he said no little humor. Does that mean that he thought that the humor was a big part of the story?
I feel like he's talking about like there's no like forced humor.
So the reason why I ask and the point that I want to make, again, I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. There's a very fine line that action movies get to dance on where the humor is very appreciated and much warranted, and it makes the movie better. I mean, look at what Marvel's done with all of their current movies, which are essentially, we call them superhero movies now. They're action movies. They're sci-fi movies.
Right.
They do a great job of marrying story with character development and, comic and sci-fi elements. And the humor in a lot of the movies is just totally appropriate. And you laugh, cry, and then you worry, and then you eat popcorn. And I think that a lot of times in 90s action movies that there's a certain level of expected humor where you want to laugh, you want quippable moments, but you don't want it to be so overboard. Like, a lot of Arnold later movies where every time he speaks, it's just like, okay, you said that.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious if that's what he was getting at that. And I do remember there's times when Nicolas Cage's performance and, he shoots the arrow in the trailer, the dart gun. Like, I remember being like, yeah, I have dart guns too.
Okay. Well, I've got one that's kind of in the middle here. So Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 2.5 out of 4 stars and said there isn't a shot, scene, or sequence in The Rock that doesn't move ferociously, typically with colored lights flashing in our faces or onto those of the actor. So it feels like he likes it, but he also gives it like a little backhand smack. Too much action for him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what I was trying to get at, when trying to gauge how the critics would respond, is it's an action movie. We're not talking about the usual suspects here. We're not talking about some super well drawn out, intricately tied together plot. It's an action movie. It's it's going to McDonald's and it's getting a Big Mac. And assuming that the chef microwaved it correctly, you're going to have a good time. Maybe later you're going to get the shits. Maybe.
That was good. I was waiting for you to say that too. Last one here comes from Liam Lacey of the Globe and Mail. Gave the film 2 out of 4 stars and said, from a helicopter's point of view, The Rock is just typical big American dumb fun. It's only when you look underneath at the film's underlying assumptions that you want to recoil. Any thoughts on Mr. Lacey's comments?
Yeah, America's #1. Go fuck yourself.
That's it. Nothing else needs to be said. JD, what are you looking forward to most when we dive into the full review of The Rock on Wednesday?
I am super excited to see Sean Connery rocking those long gray locks, the subtle nuances of a Nicolas Cage performance, and Ed Harris just being a general all-around badass. Like, I really think, and I'm expecting to respond very positively, and this is going to be a very spirited discussion. Man, let's blow some shit up.
Yep, I'm really excited to pop this thing in the Blu-ray player, so make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and all full episodes are up on YouTube and Google Play. Remember, while you're there, rate, review, and subscribe to the page. We're also on Facebook and all social media. Everything is at Back in Time Pod, Twitter, Instagram. You can also shoot us an email at backintimepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to review next. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, Bunny 17 Media. Again, at checkout, type in Back in Time, and you will get yourself 15% off. It's time to climb back into the DeLorean, punch in today's date, and return back to present day. We'll be back with the full review on Wednesday. See ya!
I am Luke. And Sean Connery is Groot.